So there is always some starting trouble in putting together a development plan, largely because the question that I'm going to therefore explore this with you, right? Don't take this as gospel. I'm going to explore this with you. Putting together a development plan talks to us about having a focus. We need to work towards something, right? Which is what in common general parlance we'll call goal setting. Okay. Why is it so difficult to set a goal? Is always a question, right? And we generally tend to set goals in a manner which perhaps doesn't enable us to do something about actioning the goal, right? So let's examine this, right? So I'm going to walk you through and say, why do we need goal setting? Right? Because empirical research would suggest that those who set goals accomplish more. Right? This PPT is there in your drive. If you have already seen it, if you have not seen it, you can just run through that. It brings a discipline in the process of working. Those who set goals feel more satisfied that they have achieved what they set out to do, and it gives focus and direction to manage self and outcomes. As simple as that, right? Now, we also use as part of goal setting, right? And some of you may have heard of this or experienced it. We always say that if you want to remember something, write it down, right? So all of you are taking notes now, right? Why? Why are you taking notes? Because it helps you to focus yourself, right? So what you write down is typically what you tend to remember, because the mind works that way. The mind often works in a manner which says that if you write it down, right, the mind is relating to that. It's able to sensitize itself to the fact that something is being written. It picks it up, right? So if you don't write down something, will you remember it? Of course you will. But is the impact of writing more sustainable? We believe that it is. So therefore, if you write first, it's always a good way of remembering. Now, if you didn't believe that, then you should examine why you are taking notes here, right? One must ask this question, that if you don't believe in this theory, then why do you take notes? Yeah? So therefore, let us examine why we have a problem. Let's go back to my first thing. What was Alice's dilemma? I don't know where I'm going, right? And therefore, the Cheshire Cat's response was, how does it matter then what road you take? So do you know where you're going with yourselves? If you don't know, then how are you going to work towards it? You're generally going to say, I'll do this, right? But if you don't know where you're headed, right, you haven't written it down, you haven't captured it somewhere, there is no way in which you will actually ask yourself the relevant questions as to how you will get to your destination. So you want to use GPS, please go ahead, right? It doesn't create a problem. But to use GPS implies that you must first identify where you want to go. Then you can set your GPS to take you there. It will tell you the route, right? Let us use the same philosophy here. I want to go somewhere. How am I going to get there? But if you want to go somewhere, the fundamental question that we would also need to ask here is why? Why do you want to go there? So in goal setting, we must examine why we want to set this goal and how relevant it is to us. Now, if you are able to do that, and if you are able to bring your mind to think about those things, right, you will perhaps be able to bring a little more focus. So, what are the challenges, right? And I have thought about this when I wrote the last one. I had Siddhi in mind when I said, what if I don't really care to focus myself on an outcome either for myself or for others? What if I don't care, right? Why should I set a goal when I don't care about setting a goal? It doesn't matter whether you care or don't care. Do you have something you want to do with yourself? Right? Let's ask this, that okay, the most difficult thing that we find is setting a goal. Why? Why do we find it most difficult? For any reason, why do we find it most difficult to set a goal? We don't know what is the goal. Okay.
Awareness.
Huh?
Awareness.
Awareness. Okay. Huh?
Multiple tasks.
There are multiple tasks. Okay. All right. Okay.
The apprehension of making it completely concrete also, the lack of like, if people sometimes feel that if you write it down, then there's obligation to fulfill it, right? There's flexibility to change.
Right.
Failure.
Okay, so many things, right? If I write it down, then it's a reminder to me. I have to fulfill it. I have to work towards it. It creates an expectation, right? But forget all of that. Okay, let's just examine. Most of you who did your MBAs, right, or who went through college, who studied, right? You just went there for fun. Huh? All you ermites out here, right? You wanted something in life, right? I don't know what it was. What did you want? You wanted something in life. That is why you went and did a college, right? Here Daniel has gone one step further and done his PhD on it, right? He must have either had a huge hunger for simply studying, right? The question that is, after studying, what do you intend to do with that study? Some goal in your mind may not have crystallized, but is it there? Was it there? Otherwise, why did you have to choose a path of study? Why did you have to go to a management school? Why did you choose this particular management school? Right? Somewhere in your mind, the back of your mind, there was something you wanted to do with yourself. Right? And that is what we say, that whether you like it or not, all the time we are setting goals. What we are not doing is, we are not bringing the discipline of working in a manner which is enabling us to reach our goal, largely because you want to leave the goal open-ended and untangible. Yeah. So let us ask. There is a very interesting thing that, what happens here? There is a lack of motivation. I don't want to write a goal. Why should I write a goal? Right? If I write a goal, somebody will ask, right? Oh, you wrote a goal. What have you done about it? Show me your goal. Right? And there will be some scrutiny, some investigation. More, I think you need to ask yourself that if it is you who need to scrutinize your own direction, why should somebody else scrutinize for you? In our institutional life, we have a TOR. All of you have a TOR in some manner or the other. Yeah? And we had this debate. Do we work better with the TOR or without a TOR? Yeah? What do you think a TOR is? Huh?
It's a kind of guideline.
It's a kind of guideline. It's a goal towards which you are expected to work. It defines what outputs or outcomes are expected from you. It's a goal. It's a goal somebody else has set for you. That's the only difference. You haven't set your own goal, so somebody else has set the goal. But does it not give you a direction that you need to work towards or to deliver? Yes? And if you need to work towards that and deliver that goal, what do? You find a way of getting there. You find a way of getting to your destination and delivering. Otherwise, there are consequences, right? What if you don't deliver on your TOR? What happens? Right? There are consequences. Consequences that work doesn't get done. Right? There could be some reward or punishment. There could be something to do with failure. There could be some issues around continuity of employment. There could be questions about your competence. So many things can happen as to why you are not achieving this. Apply this whole thing into your own personal lives when you start saying, when you set a goal, right, please understand that all of these things will apply there also. So, what is a development goal vis-a-vis any other goal? There is no difference. You can say, I would like to a developmental goal which is linked to or aligned to organization is one purpose. But you can also have a development goal for yourself, isn't it? What kind of personal developmental goals you would like to set for yourself? And reflect. How many have you set and how many have you achieved? Have you ever set a personal developmental goal for yourself? Anything that you wanted? Have you set a goal? I want to get married by the time I am 27. Yeah? Why 27? It could be 25, could be 23, could be 19. Right? I want to have 2 children. Right? These are not goals. Why 2? Why not 1? Why not 3? Why not none? Are these goals? Of course they are goals. You keep setting these goals all the time. Why is it so difficult to articulate that for yourself on a piece of paper? Let's examine this. Seriously examine this. Why is it so difficult to articulate that on a piece of paper? Why should someone drive you? Why should someone insist that you should have a goal? Why? Is it because you generally like to, work free will? And then do you have expectations from that free willing that some outcome should come, you should get some benefits? Why should somebody give you any benefit if you haven't focused yourself on certain outcomes? So what do you think is happening here? And how can we find a way around it? We need to find a way around it, right? Each one of us will have to find our own way. There is no one prescribed methodology to get there. Each one of us. But first, let us pause here and ask, right? Is it important, is it relevant to you to be able to set a goal? Yes or no?
I'd like to say it's very relevant for me.
Yeah, okay.
Set a goal.
Okay.
Individual
Yeah.
and organizational goal.
Okay. Oh, switch it on. Yeah. Yeah. Why is it relevant to you?
Because it's my own development
Okay.
in the organization
Okay.
and to meeting the organization deliverables
Okay.
according to my TOR
Okay.
and responsibility and
Okay.
individual goal for my own. Because actually sometimes I shared, actually I want to build my own home because
Okay. Nice.
this is my individual goal.
That's a goal,
Maybe.
yes.
It may be 5 years, 6 years. In short-term goals, we can set in the organization
Okay.
based on the project and based on
Okay.
our own development.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Right. Yeah. Go ahead. Lloyd, you want to say something?
Yeah, goal setting is important, but whether we should write it down. I have not written down my
Okay.
goal, but definitely I have what I need to do with my life.
Yeah.
I am there, but I don't want to approach it in a very systematic fashion.
Okay. You don't want to. Okay. Fair
I want
enough.
to take it.
You want to take life as it comes, as it comes.
and then but moving towards it.
Okay.
But then certain decisions are made on things that come my way. Is it moving towards that?
Okay.
But writing down and then systematically planning, that may not be my personality or my way of doing it.
Fair enough.
So,
Fair enough.
And
Fair
of
enough.
course, on a
But okay, you're saying I do have a goal. I know what I want. Whether I write it down and I work to, systematically towards achieving that, perhaps I don't. Right? And I take things as they come. Fair enough, no problems. Okay. But are you any other points of view here that you want to talk about? Yeah.
In an organization, when what you do and how you do is dependent on so many people around you,
Yes.
or the way your colleagues work,
Right.
or how do they work. How valid does it sound to put a goal which might not be even achievable after a point of time?
Good point. So, in an organization, organizations work differently. There are different players, and therefore, when you set a goal for yourself, right, the question is that there are other influencers on that goal. At some point of time, you may suddenly realize that your goal is not achievable because there are other people who are influencing the outcome. Fair enough, right? Now, let's pause and reflect on this a bit, right? are there going to be people around us who are going to influence the outcome of our goal? Any goal that you set, there will be, right? When you are working in a context and you are looking at a TOR and wanting working with a client or a project and getting into delivery, do you simply wade into that, right? So a team of people will go sit with the client and just do something. Does it happen that way? Is there some planning that takes place? When a project comes, do you open the project? Do you examine what is to be delivered here, right? Do you not examine what are the challenges? Do you not start looking at what resourcing is required? Do you not ask fundamental questions of whether I have the capacity to actually deliver? Do you not prepare contingency plans that if you fail, what would happen? Do you not create recovery plans? You do, right? Why? Why do you do all of that? To make it systematic, right? And to succeed. More importantly, to succeed, right? So even if you apply the same logic, reverse it and say that in an organization, if I have to set it, I have to anticipate and presume that there will be failures, that there will be contingencies, there will be detractors, right? So even when I draw my own personal development plan, I must take into consideration who are the people who are going to impact it. And if I am very, very focused and I want to achieve it, I need to ask myself, therefore, what is the contingency plan I am going to make sure that I am not thwarted? Yeah. So let's ask this question, right? So let's just examine it on a slightly different note, right? So you decide that you want to learn how to drive. Well, how would you approach it? How do you approach it? So you decide I want to drive. What is your goal? To learn how to drive. Okay. What are you going to do? Simply get into a car, switch it on and zoom off. You could, right? I mean, if you happen to be, and if you were like Salman Khan and you didn't have to worry about running over somebody, maybe. But I'm saying you want to learn to drive. What do you do?
Get somebody who can teach you.
Get somebody to teach you, right? That's one option. So I want to learn to drive. I'll ask my brother, sister, dad, right, to teach you. Okay. So people who know are not often good teachers, right? People who know are often not good teachers because that's a different talent that's required. There's a different strength. They don't bring the strength of teaching.
And when I was trying to learn two-wheeler, my
Huh?
brother was trying to teach me.
Yeah.
And then he said, you will never learn this.
There you go.
Then I learned it on my own.
So people who know are not good teachers. Then what happens? You say, okay, this is not working. What do? My goal has not changed. I still want to learn to drive. What would I do? What else could I do? Huh? You could enroll into a driving school. Okay, fine. What else?
Get a license.
Get a license by bribing somebody. Yeah, go to the RTO, get a pimp somewhere, and say, "यार मेरे को license बना देना," right? So, but that doesn't help you to learn how to drive. All you have got is a document which says you are supposed to know how to drive. Now, when you are learning the process of driving, what are the things that go through your mind? When you get onto a crowded street, what is the first apprehension you have? I'll hit somebody, right? There will be an accident, right? So there is a sense of nervousness around it. There is a sense of anxiety. How do you get over it? Through practice, through trial and error, right? Through somebody telling you, okay, this is bound to happen to you, don't get hassled, it's bound to happen, okay? Eventually, when you go for the test to the RTO, right, here in India, we are relatively better off. If you go anywhere in the world, you are supposed to do parking reverse by looking only into the rear view mirror. Only in India, you are allowed the luxury of turning back and saying. Yeah? Nowhere in the world it is allowed. You have to use the side view mirrors, right, to reverse park. Right? If you can't do that, you have failed.
And people are outside me for doing that. Look back.
Yeah, exactly. Here people will say, "Arey, look behind," right? Because that's how we are, right? Now, at some point of time, let us say you mastered how to drive forward. Most of us are very good at driving the vehicle forward. Right? We find it difficult to gauge distances. If you have to squeeze yourself between two vehicles, right? Trust me, however much experience you have, you are all the time wondering whether your side view mirror will touch, whether the vehicle will touch, right? Whether you have enough turning radius. Even worse, trying to reverse park into a gap, unless you happen to have seen that ad, the Shah Rukh Khan, where you can zip that vehicle, right? So it's a tough proposition. So even when you are learning to drive, there are variables to driving that you are still going to work upon. How do you master those? You have to practice. You have to go through the experience. Right? When you are setting same personal development goals for yourself, which could be anything, I'm saying go one step further. Right? I often have this argument with a lot of people who, love to put on weight. Right? And then love to spend money getting rid of it. So first you put on the weight, then you go spend money in the gym to get rid of it. Right? So do you think you can get rid of weight merely because of a desire to get rid of weight?
The starting point. It's a starting point.
The desire to lose weight.
Yeah, the motivation.
The motivation. Good. So again, I want you to focus here. You want to set a goal, it's a matter of choice. You don't wish to set a goal, don't set a goal. It's up to you. Nobody can compel you to set a goal. You must choose that you want to work towards something. If you don't choose to work towards something, even including here in our development process, right, we can tell you as part of a development process, please write a development goal for yourself. Right? And this is probably the 5th or 6th session that we are having. Right? And we are still at point 0 as far as goal setting is concerned. Yeah? Even after 6 sessions, right, many of us are struggling to get through the very first step, which is to set a goal. So my first submission to you is, if you want to develop yourself, setting a goal is a matter of your choice. If you choose not to set a goal, then empirical evidence would suggest that your ability to succeed in getting to your goal in a manner which is designed to give you best results may be questionable. All of you reach your goal. I'm not saying you won't. But in an organizational context, an organizational goal, can it meander and allow itself to be developed over a period of 6 months? No, it can't. Organization, when it says, I need you to develop, there is a specific time frame in which an organization expects to see results. At a personal level, you can take 6 months to lose weight, take 1 year to lose weight. It's up to you. Will an organization have that much of flexibility? It won't. Right? So then the question comes that when you are compelled to set a goal, do you set a goal any which way you like? Anything that you like, you will be able to set? No. You also have to relate it to something that the organization is expecting as an outcome from you. So there are two choices here, often enough. Either you set your own goals and you work towards it, or an organization sets a goal for you and you are obliged or compelled to work towards it. Which is a better choice? That is something you need to debate about. Which is a better choice? Do you rather set your own goals and say, fine, I understand that I have to work towards it? Or would you rather be compelled to set a goal, and then there will be an organizational pressure to achieve that goal, and you will put yourself under pressure and there will be anxiety?
It would depend on the nature of the goal, right? Not
Good.
all goals can be set by you, and not all goals you just can't.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's
there are
examine.
certain- At the end of the day, there are certain organizational goals which have to be
which have to be set by the organization for your personal development. We are talking about personal development. We are not talking about objective achievement of outcomes. We are talking about development here, personal development. Does the organization need to set personal development goals for you? It doesn't. But is it being compelled to do so? Because it finds that there are certain weaknesses that are perceived, right, in an individual by virtue of the experience that the organization has with the way the individual performs. So then the organization is obliged to set a goal for you. Which sometimes you need to ask yourself that how often would you like it? Many of us, including me, I can tell you, I can be very resentful if somebody tells me you have to work on this. I can. I'm sure you can as well be. Right? Sometimes you may say, but why? Why is it relevant? How is it important? We have seen in our own structure, what did we see? We saw that we were, if I remember that matrix, largely we had a lot of execution, yeah, and strategy. We had very little in terms of influencing, am I right? Yeah, very little. Now, if the organization says that one of our factors for success is that we need people who are able to be more, who have the ability to influence others. Now, if it's not in your strength, it's not in your top 5, it's not in your top 10, then what do you do? One is you say it's not in my top 5, not in my top 10. But if that is an organizational requirement that I need people to learn how to be influencers of outcomes, rather than going and doing it myself, I need to be able to persuade others to do it. That's something you have to learn. It's a personal development goal, nothing to do with the organization. But the organization expects you, therefore, to work upon a certain set of behaviors which will help you to accomplish certain things. Yeah? So I'm asking you again that if you look at it from a perspective of wanting to achieve something for yourself, even then, why is it still difficult to set a goal? This is perhaps the most difficult task in all management, let me tell you. And this is one of the reasons why IDPs fail. And I work through IDPs in multiple organizations. I have been responsible for setting development goals for other people. Right? It always fails. It always fails. The organizations will come and say, oh, you prepared this big document, 5-6 pages, and you said you have to do this, you have to do that. Right? It fails. Why does it fail? It fails merely because you haven't bought into it. You haven't accepted it as being relevant to you. So our first barrier here is to really ask yourself, how relevant do you feel for you, that you need to set a development goal for yourself? As simple as that. So we can go through a lot of exercises on this and all the rest of it. So I missed the last session. I think we've been talking about values and stuff like that. We've been talking about impact of certain things, right? How many of us are actually impacted by that? So very often sometimes we listen to it as a story, as somebody else's experience. Are we impacted by that? Do we feel that we can connect to that and say, oh, this is some meaning for me, I need to do something for myself? Only provided it strikes a chord somewhere. Rings a bell. Oh, maybe I ought to be doing something like this for myself. But if you don't feel like doing that, let me assure you and reassure you that you will not set a goal. However much of sessions we can have and however much of reading you can do, it won't work. Because the most compulsive thing here is for you to say, I want to set a goal for myself because I believe it is important to me. And that has to come from a better understanding of your own strengths. So I'm action oriented, I'm task oriented, I like to accomplish results. Do you spend enough time on reflection? How often, right? And for those of you who did your, psychometrics in terms of the 16 PF and so on, or the PI, whatever, right? How often did you actually reflect on the feedback that you got? So for those of you who went through the process, right, some feedback was given, right, saying these are how your behavioral strengths seem to be panning out for you. Right? Did you reflect on it? Or did you rather say, yeah, this is true for me. This is who I am. So right, that's right. So I don't need to do anything about it. Which is also fine. But if it is coming in the way of your success, or your ability to deliver some bit of an organizational objective or purpose, then isn't it about time that you got up and woke up to the fact that you need to do something about it? Or do you want someone else to do it for you? Because somebody setting a goal for you and driving you towards that goal, it's a process where you will never succeed. Neither you will succeed nor the organization will succeed. Because I don't take ownership for it. Many of us struggle with time management, right? Why? What is so difficult about managing time? Honestly, what is so difficult about managing time? Tell me. What is good time management about? Optimal utilization. It's about planning. It's about anticipation. It's about saying that if I have to do something by, or I have to reach a meeting by this time, or I have to participate in something, I then anticipate how I am able to be there on time. Can somebody teach you time management? Can teach you techniques. Write it down, make a schedule, look at your watch every 5 minutes and see whether you're late. Right? That's all we can do. Can somebody compel you to manage time better? When will you actually feel the urge to manage time better? If you want to set a goal of saying, I want to improve time management, when will you feel the urge to do it better? When? When you own it, or when you are negatively impacted by your bad time management. When things come crashing down.
Then you can't manage anymore.
Then you wake up and say,
I need to do this. Desperate. Right?
Or even like reflecting,
Yeah.
saying like, okay, I'm not able to keep up this time because I have not been planned for it. Self-reflection also.
Self-reflection will work on
And
it.
sometimes also feedback given by other times, you're always late, you're not keeping up. This has to be done by this time.
Yes, Sangha, but when you get the feedback, the question is that I'm saying that always there is behavioral feedback to all of us. Always, continuously. And if you look at our development process of what we are planning to do here, is to ask you to work upon certain feedback that you have received. And yet it is so difficult to set a goal around a feedback that you have received. So just to sort of, give you some inputs on that one. Yeah. There is a very interesting theory propounded by Mark Twain for whatever reason. Yeah, I don't know why Mark Twain would have got into this, but anyway, Mark Twain said that what is the worst thing that life is all about? Right? He said, imagine if every morning you have to get up and eat a frog. What can be worse in life? Right? Every morning, if there is a requirement that you have to get up and eat a frog, right? What can be worse than that? What can be more disgusting than that?
Eye of the frog is like one of the best exported delicacies.
Yeah.
So you'll be privileged, right?
Feel privileged.
He being a British, he said that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think, I think let's take the analogy a little further and say the most difficult thing is that, no? Imagine that imagine that there is a frog in front of you, a live frog, and you are supposed to get up in the morning first thing and eat it. Right? What does it evoke? Generally also, right? Forget, guys like this who are in Kerala backwaters, right? Who are desperately, catching frogs and, and eating them, right? I don't think he eats a live frog. Huh? Right? Even there, he must be looking disgustedly at it and saying, okay, first let's kill the fellow, then cut the legs and do the rest of it, right? But I'm just saying that if you had to eat a live frog every day, right, it's the most disgusting thing. So there is a very good book written on this, right? It's a couple of books written on frog series. It says how to eat your frog, right? And the author goes one step further and says, right, that imagine that if you had to eat 2 frogs, right? Imagine you had to eat 2 frogs, not 1, but 2. Yeah. What's the challenge? The suggested challenge is eat the ugliest one first. How do you distinguish which frog is more ugly from the other? I don't know, but nevertheless, right? So if you eat 2 frogs, eat the one that is most ugly. But keep that as an analogy and say it is the most disgusting thing that you want to do first thing in the morning. Goal setting is like that, guys. It's the most disgusting thing you want to do. It's the thing that you want to postpone. Put aside. Keep aside because it's not important. At this point of time, it's not important. Who's asking? Nobody's asking. So Nandlal is standing here and saying, how many of you written your goals? Oh, it's an embarrassment. So, right? But who else is asking? I don't think, and my submission to you is nobody should ask you. You should develop the ability to set your own goals because they matter to you. And it is the most difficult task because like eating this frog, like Mark Twain says, right, it is the most disgusting thing that you can ever do. It is the most difficult thing you can ever do. Therefore, you will keep postponing it. And we constantly ask ourselves in life how often we postpone, how often we postpone unpleasant tasks. How often do we postpone unpleasant tasks? All the time, right? Our big challenge of time management is not about managing time. It is about prioritizing which task to take up first. It is not about managing time. It's never about managing time. It's about prioritizing what you want to do first. Because if you get, like this frog, you get the worst thing out of the way, then the rest of it is easier. It becomes relatively easier. So I ask you this question, right? That you cannot make progress, and I make a very humble submission to all of you. You cannot get into a development process if you don't know where you want to develop yourself. Organization can give you a direction. Organization can give you carrots, right? Although the latest, yesterday's research is very interesting. It says that in a carrot and stick theory, there is research which now says that the stick theory works better than the carrot theory. There's empirical research which has been published. Huh? Raghu always believes in it, right? So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself this question. So I'm not going to get into the other aspects of it. All of it is on your Google Drive. Go through it. I'm saying ask yourself this question, that some of us find it relevant to set a goal, and most of us have not even found the time to get onto it. So do you want an organization to set a goal for you and whip you in that direction? My submission to you is, if that happens, you will never reach the goal. You will always find an opportunity not to get there. So Shiv recently read a book, Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow. You know, that author has got a very interesting thought. He says, you will always find the easiest way to avoid having to do the toughest task. You will always concentrate on what is easy. And once you have done that, you will find 20 reasons why you cannot get involved with a tough task. Why? Because our minds are like that, guys. It's nothing to do with any theory. Our minds are like that. We find it easier to deal with things which are something that I am comfortable with. We don't like to tackle the tough things in life. We genuinely don't. Therefore, you will always find that even if you have 10 things to do on your table, you will start perhaps with the toughest and then you will get distracted very quickly into picking up the one that is, in order of toughness, perhaps less. And you will devote a lot of time to that and then you will say, I didn't find time to do that. Because you chose not to find the time. So in a development process, let me submit to you finally, right, that if you want development to take place, you must ask yourself, do you want it or do you don't want it? If you are in this process and you've got your strengths finder reports and you've done the psychometrics and all the rest of it, fundamental to self-development is, do you wish to develop yourself or not? And if you don't, be honest enough and transparent enough to stand up and say, I don't think I can bring the level of commitment and energy to go in this direction. Because it does take commitment, it does take energy. Let me illustrate this, right? I have a client, several clients in Bombay. So the other day he called me and said, I want to go for a program. I said, please go. I have no problems. You can go wherever you want. You don't need my permission. I'm not your boss. He said, no, Nandlal, this program I'm going to do in the US is going to cost me 40 lakhs. I said, fine. Right? You got 40 lakhs and go and spend it. Right? No, I want your advice. I said, what advice can I give you? No, do you think it's relevant to me? I said, how would I know if it's relevant to you? You want to attend a program because you believe that it is relevant to you. Then how can I tell you whether it's right or wrong, whether it's relevant to you or not? No, you may not. I doubt it. But if you do, I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised as well. So, okay, I understand where you're coming from. Oh, that's between me and him. So I'm saying, okay, then he says, Nandlal, it is the best program available. I said, all that is fine. For what? I'm not clear. What do you want to do? No, my aspiration is to become a CEO. Okay. I said, how does attending this program enable you to become a CEO? Does it? Does an investment of 40 lakhs enable you to become a CEO? We are not referring to the same person, by the way. Yeah. So I'm saying, so then he said, but Nandlal, I will get international exposure. I said, you'll get international exposure to what? To a group of people. There will be profs who will teach you. Yeah. I said, what is the empirical evidence that suggests that people who went through that program became CEOs? He said, I don't know. I said, find out. He said, you mean they will have that kind of statistics? I said, look, American universities are driven by statistics and numbers. They will have information on everything. He said, okay. So on a Sunday, he writes a mail to them. So they get a reply also. The reply is very nice and cutely vague. Several of our participants, right, have become CEOs, right? Some of our participants are already CEOs, right? Many of them have aspirations to be CEOs. Okay. So it is not anyway geared to make you CEO, right? He said, lagta to aise hi hai. I said, therefore, you want to be CEO. CEO of what? I'm not clear. Wanting to be a CEO is such an open-ended goal. that it can never be crystallized into anything. What do you want to be CEO of? Said, I haven't thought about it. Okay, I said, very good. Right? I said, why do you want to be a CEO of something? No, it's an aspirational need I have. Okay? I said, let's break this down. CEO of a what? Product company, process company, financial services company, sales company. What do you want to be CEO of? What kind of turnovers are you looking to manage? Are you looking to manage this nationally, right, within India, geographically within Bombay, or are you planning to look at it across, make it maybe pan-Asia? How many people do you think you'll manage? What kind of talent do you think you'll be managing? How do you foresee the challenges for your success as a CEO? He hasn't thought of any of this. But he wants to be a CEO and he wants to spend 40 lakhs to attend a program in some university in the US, right, where he can learn how to be a CEO. Goal setting is like that, people. Goal setting cannot be aspirational. Goal setting needs to narrow down into very, very much specifics. So you can say here, I want to succeed working in CMS. Succeed at what? I want to become a project manager in CMS. Okay, fine. Or in the group, right? What are the project manager of what? Which project? What is the size and scope? What is the impact that you are going to have? What domain you want to work with? If you have not thought about all these things, then everything is aspirational. So today I will only leave you with this thought that, look, you want to work towards something unless you are able to set an objective and break it down into specifics. You are never going to get to your destination. You will. Eventually we'll all get there. Not saying we won't. The question is, will we get there in the time frame either that we ideally should be getting there or the organization desires us to get there. So often enough in corporate life, you will find that people are unhappy that they are passed over for promotion. It happens in corporate life, right? Sometimes, somebody else is identified and you think that you are the best person for the job. Somebody else is identified. Often enough in corporate life, somebody gets passed over. And often enough, the query often needs to be why. If you don't have an answer to the why.
We're picking some biscuits for you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Prachi.
We can't eat any of this. No, it's got too much of. Yeah, I'll have something later. Yeah. So I'm saying, I'll leave you with this thought, right? Because I think this is the pivot on which you will actually have to work upon if you want to do development. Let me summarize. You need to have a goal that you want to work towards that is important to you. My submission to you is, if you write it down, you will be able to look at it and remember it. And as you write it down, you need to ask these questions. Why is it important to me? Why do I want to do this? What if I didn't do this? So I asked this guy, what if you didn't become a CEO? You're doing well for yourself. What if you didn't become a CEO? इज्जत का सवाल है क्या? What if you are a failure as a CEO? Then what happens? Once you come there, you can't come down, no? You have to get out of the organization. So many of you here may aspire to be directors, right? Many of you are directors. Yeah? So then often enough somebody will ask that as a director, how are you different from the time when you were not a director? What impact have you made? How have you made a difference? You can do that only if you begin to ask yourself, what should I do differently? That only you can ask. That only you can answer. And if you don't break it down into specific action plans and ask some very soul-searching questions, right, you will never find answers to a path for development. Which is why, in the theory of the frog, right, it is the most difficult thing you can ever do. Which is why goal setting empirically never succeeds. There is research on it saying that you can go through session after session. Why sessions on goal setting and why sessions on time management never succeed is because it is a matter of personal self-discipline. It is not a matter of teaching you techniques. So one can teach you technique here, how to do goal setting, how to use SMART, SMIRT as a principle. It's all there in the presentation, right? One can teach you prioritization. But you are in the midst of all of that, and if you can't bring your mind to have the discipline to accomplish something, you will not. Yes, Usman. Speak loudly.
So then, you see,
Yeah.
so you've basically been talking. This is very weird. I'm just being So basically, you've been relating self-development to
Yeah.
goal setting. And
Yeah.
The assumption is that you're setting goals for self-development.
Correct,
Right?
correct.
So at some level, the person who's setting the goals would also have to reflect on as to why are they setting that particular goal, right?
As an
to,
individual.
why is it that you want to become a CEO?
Whatever. Yeah.
Do you feel
Yeah.
that there is some form of benefit for you, or are you doing it for social validation? And if you're doing it for social validation, then is it tantamount to a goal or not?
Of course it does.
But then,
It's a goal because.
then how is it self-development? How do you define that as
because
self-development?
you are working towards an aspiration that has been set for you. Right? Maybe you have not set the aspiration for yourself, but you bought into that aspiration. There's a social aspiration to become a CEO. You can always reject it and say, well, that's okay, I don't want to be CEO, I am happy. Right? What compels you to be a CEO is because there is social pressure in an organization. Why are we all here in this development process? In part because we want to learn something. In part, we believe that it is something that the organization is offering as a platform for development. Right? Is the organization setting the agenda for development? Yes, it is, in some way. Right? It may not be very directive and defined, but go back to our earlier reflections. What did we say? You will set this goal, you will sit with your superior, you will examine with the superior, right? And then you will define for yourself why is this relevant, and then you will work on it. So somewhere there is a compulsion. There is always a compulsion. Matter of the individual making a choice not to be sucked into that is a matter of choice. So if there is social pressure, I mean at a very simple level, if there is social pressure for you to look slim and trim, you can have a choice, no? I don't want to look slim, I'm happy with myself. How many of us are happy with ourselves and will not succumb to external pressure? Think.
But then it wouldn't be self-development.
It wouldn't be self-development because that is exactly what I'm trying to explain to you, that either you get into that frame of reference where somebody tells you you need to do this, and there is, you call it social pressure, use your language, or you can say, I feel I need to do this, I want to do it. I'm saying the latter works better. But then if you then you ask that question that why is it so difficult even then to set a goal? Even if you believe that it's a matter of my own self-development, it's a choice I choose to make, what is so difficult about quantifying it? What is so difficult about working in a systematic manner to achieve that outcome? Because there will always be distractions to the discipline that we want to bring to the outcome. which is how the brain works, which is how the mind works. You'll find an easy way out, and then it will find reasons for not, dealing with the tough part of it. But all that is truth. So we are not trying to do, change anybody's thought process or all of that. All I'm telling you is that, look, development is something that you must own, and development is something that you have to set a process for. Perhaps work with somebody to say whether, look, this looks sensible. It's always yours, no? One cannot comment as to whether it's right or wrong. One can only say, is this process adequately robust or not? Is it likely to yield results? What are the pitfalls in this process? What is it that you might have missed out? That somebody can work with you. Help you to perhaps refine the process and tighten it for you. But nobody can do your development for you. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Which is why training also doesn't succeed. One of the reasons why training doesn't succeed is because people listen but don't necessarily transform. Right? So, stay with that. Ask yourself, therefore, Mike.
A couple of things from what you're saying. Firstly, apologies. Both me and Raghu had to finish up an early morning meeting, and that took a bit more time.
No problem.
On goal setting, I think there are different paradigms to approaching things, right?
Yeah, sure.
And one way to look at it is to say that, I'm happy where I am, and I'm going in a direction which I'm very happy with, and therefore I don't need to set anything which necessarily needs to drive me from the back.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one paradigm, and I just wanted to explore that a bit with you in terms of what is right or wrong. You said it may not be necessarily wrong, but what are the implications of it, number one.
Okay.
Number two, I also want to share my experience of doing goal setting with you.
Okay.
Which has been transformational.
Okay.
Obviously, you didn't push what goal I should set.
No.
I don't know. I think probably only 3 or 4 people were there in that session of goal setting that we had. How many years back? 5, 6 years?
5, 6 years ago. Yeah.
5, 6 years back. And I remember Kallan and me had written down very clearly goals.
Yeah.
And I don't remember others also having it. Maybe they did. And that drove me quite a bit. And you're absolutely right. It took me almost a month to internalize it. And all I did was to say that every Sunday I will just look at it, take stock, how is it going. But what I realized is that, how your goal statement is set, at what level it is set, also matters a lot.
Yes.
Right? If it is at a very aspirational, like typically how we understand in development is that it's an aspirational goal.
Yeah.
It's something which drives you towards something, but you may never achieve it.
Yes.
Right? If you set it at that level, I found that it is important to break it down to aspects of it.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you don't get clarity as to where you're going towards it.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I think setting a goal is only, to my, at least in my experience, only the beginning. Because after that, a lot of honesty is required to reflect vis-a-vis that goal. Was it just set, or over a period of time, do you want to even change the goal as you're becoming more aware of what you're doing? And that's where I found this blog very useful. And I shared with you also, James who? James Clear. And he does a very interesting annual exercise of honesty, he calls it, where you look back and honestly take stock where things are.
Yeah.
And he's got a lovely format which he uses. And I started using the same thing without it changing anything. And I found it extraordinary that actually, we all say one thing, we all want one thing, but actually we end up 90% of the time working on something else.
True.
Right? Because of comfort, because this is what I have been doing, this is what I know can be done. And therefore you continue doing that with amazing amount of alacrity that, you want this, but you do keep doing this. Right? I just wanted to share with you, but because that really helped me, and I can't say that I have done a 180-degree turn, because I'll share with you that in the James Clear this thing, it's quite tough questions you need to answer. And when I answered those questions, I can't say probably 40-50% I have adhered to it, but it's been transformational in terms of what what it has provided clarity in terms of which direction I need to go towards.
So that's what Kahneman also says, that a general law of least effort applies to cognitive as well as physical exertion. The law asserts that there are several ways of achieving the same goal. People will eventually gravitate to the least demanding course of action. Right? In the economy of action, effort is a cost. Right? And the acquisition of skill is driven by the balance of benefits and cost. Laziness is built deep into our nature. Which is fact. That's his research.
Many of us flog ourselves as procrastinators. Actually, all of us are.
Yes, we are. And this is true. If I can find the easier way to get to my destination, I will take that path, because it is effort that I am always unwilling to put in. It requires a discipline, a self-discipline, which is why we don't manage time also. Because we don't have the discipline of managing time. Not because we can't. We have not thought it important enough. So the rest of the presentation is with you. Please go through it. Right?
And actually, it's more last time many of us discussed on the behavior patterns.
Yes.
And that we need to individually look at. I think when it's set a goal or think something which needs to be achieved, that the first thing is about the behavior.
Yeah, and Shiv, I mean, I didn't want to walk through all of this presentation, but it's all there in your drive, right? It's exactly the way that you talked about, right? Decide exactly what you want, write it down, set a deadline, set sub-deadlines if necessary, make a list, organize the list into a plan, take action, resolve to do something every single day that moves you towards your major goal. But this is process discipline. And he's absolutely right. Some of us don't bring behaviors which support process discipline. Some of us are action oriented. Right? I still remember a very interesting, very amusing episode. We were driving down, in Bihar, my dad, mom, me, right? And an ambassador car, I still remember, for those of you who have recollections, there were hubcaps. Yeah, metal hubcaps. So we were driving around, suddenly there was a clang sound. So the driver stopped, right? So I immediately got out of the car and ran behind. I thought the hubcap had fallen down. And I couldn't find a hubcap. Came back. My father said, "You're an idiot." I said, "Okay, fair enough, but why?" He said, "The first thing you should have done is go around the car and see if the 4 hubcaps are there or not." Right? What is the stupidity about running and searching for a hubcap? It may have just been a stone or something. We are like that, Okay, there's a sound, there's a clanging sound, assumption, hubcap fell off. Maybe it didn't fall off. Our behaviors are driven by who we are, and which is consistent.
My system one.
My system one. And you need, therefore, to ask yourself that which of your behaviors, and that is why you have your strengths finders with you, which of your strengths or behaviors, please remember the strength finder is also reflecting on behaviors, which of these are actually enablers and which of them are likely to be preventing you from bringing some self-discipline into the way you work. And notwithstanding that, superimpose the fact that we are lazy by nature and we will like to find the easiest way to get to our destination, and we will like to postpone the most difficult task. If eating the frog is the most difficult task, then the smartest thing to do is to postpone it. But eventually you have to get around to it, no? So, here's my take on this, right? If you think that this DP program is going to go off on its own, it's not. If we have sessions like this and they are not actually enabling you to reach down, reflect and work upon yourself and, say that, okay, this I need to do for myself, then this whole program is not likely to be anything more than a nice opportunity to learn something. That's it. So it will remain in the realm of the intellect. It will not transfer itself to the realm of action. And if you don't practice something, right, there is a concept in sports called muscle memory. For those of you who don't know or want to read about it, there's a concept called muscle memory. If you keep on doing this over and over in the same way, right, instinctively muscle memory kicks in and you will probably do it the same way again. So you have to work on it, guys. I can't work on it for you. Neither Shiv nor Raghu or anybody else can compel you to do it. If you don't feel the need for it, so to respond to what Shiv says, the first question that he raised, which is something that Loy also talked about. He said, yeah, I have goals, but I haven't written it down. Right? I'm working on it. As and when I work on it. Right? Yeah, that also works. So long as you are happy with the way you are reaching your goal, it's fine. Not that you are, not reaching a goal. We will all reach a goal. Question is when. So he wants to build a house, right? I'm sure there's a conceptual plan, right? What kind of house? Single-story house, double-story house, right? Little bit of garden, sloping roof, right? Parking space, stuff, whatever. Already the mind is thinking there, right? Over what time frame? Right? Next 5 years, that also is thought of. How will you get there? You have to work. There's economics required, there's money required, there's time required, there's architect required, civil engineer required, blah, 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 blah. All this has to be organized, and you still want to have your dream house look the way you envisaged it, not how the architect or contractor delivers it to you. So the ownership, folks, have to be yours. I can only give you an opportunity to tell you that, look, if you don't work on it, right, you are going to be the loser, not me. Organizations cannot drive you towards something. Yeah? Okay. Yes. Dr. Daniel will have the last word. The mic on?
No, I mean, it's totally agreeable that individual efforts and motivation and has to be there in order to be able to achieve to a goal if it is set. I think sometime back in this course only you had asked us to write down the goals. At that exercise we have done it.
Yeah.
But when we never had an opportunity to share.
Sure.
But when I introspect and see what has happened, I find that there is always some sort of a competition for efforts and time to achieve some professional goals and to achieve, say, personal goal. It could have a professional angle also to that.
Sure.
And then it becomes difficult. I mean, in spite of having tried to see what should be given the priority for efforts, time, especially time, I would say, always the personal achievement of that goal has always been compromised. So that's a dilemma as to how to overcome.
Okay. It's fair
You get
enough.
my point?
Yeah, I get your point. That dilemma will not go away merely because you listen to a session or because you read something.
No, I get it.
That dilemma will be
Sure.
very real for you.
Yeah.
And that is something that you will have to find a balance. It's like, when I used to work in BPL, I had planned a holiday, we were going to Australia, I had booked tickets, my flight, everything. Then my boss says, I don't recall giving you leave. Did you apply for it? I don't recall giving you leave. And I said, but I spoke to you. Yeah, you spoke to me, but did you apply for leave? You didn't apply for leave. So speaking to me and not applying for leave are two different things. Then he said, okay, since you have made all the arrangements, you go. But what was he actually doing? He was actually manipulating me, saying that, I'm giving you this because I can prevent you, but I'm giving it to you. I will take something in return. That also is a way of getting to your goal. Depends on what route you wish to take to go to your destination. Yes, there will be compromises, but you have to decide what is most important for you. What I'm trying to, illustrate here is nobody here can direct you. They can only tell you this is most important for you. And if you don't achieve it, you choose not to achieve it, right, because you have other priorities or you compromise your priorities, then who will be responsible for the outcome? Today, very often we like to blame the organization saying that I don't find time. There are so many priorities. Really? Some of us seem to be able to find the time. How come? To balance so multiple tasks. It's a matter of mindset.
Right, agreed.
Yeah? Okay. Yes.
Can I just add an angle to what Dr. David is saying? Can we also offer some level of counseling support to people who would like to sit down, debate,
Sure.
look at their inner struggles in terms of how to go about it? Because it's not very easy to come up with a goal statement, and inertia is one part of it, Nandlalji. The other is also getting clarity on what exactly you want. Actually, that is the other inertia. People don't give enough thought to, or becomes difficult to articulate into words.
Agreed.
Right. So I would suggest that those of us having a little bit of difficulty in terms of, I don't know how this adds up, I would say reach out. Reach out to friends, relatives, people who can help you think through, or Nandlal or anybody else around here, who you can have a sitting with and to really debate out, what are the priorities and what are your difficulties. I think what I would certainly look at is, again, coming slightly from my experience, it may not be true for everybody, is that just because you were not able to do something and something prevented you, don't take that as a constraint. Identify that as one of the barriers or one of the areas that you need to work on. But do real blue sky thinking in terms of even visualizing what do you see 10 years from now? What do you see 20 years from now? Right? Visualize it and go backwards in terms of putting it into words. And I think it will be useful if, if any of you need help, reach out to that. Because it is not a simple affair to go about goal setting for some of us.
No, in fact, a couple of your colleagues I met last week, we worked specifically on that, saying that, I need help to set goals. Okay. I can only give you guidelines, then you set the goals, come back, then we can debate it. I can, or sit with somebody, right? Somebody should be asking questions to you, and you must be able to find answers to those questions. Not feel that why is he or she asking questions. The whole objective of asking questions is to enable you to find answers for yourself. Not that you can't find it, but could you have missed out on something? This is what the other person is an enabler. Is not driving you to your goals, but to ask you that do you have clarity in terms of how you are setting your goal. I have an illustration of another client. Right? I asked him to take the EP10, the Entrepreneurial Strengths Finder, right? And he looked at the results. I looked at outcomes, and I said, what entrepreneurial skills are you lacking today? This is what the report is telling you. What is it you tend to rely upon more? Is this enabling you to be a good entrepreneur, or is it actually, as we spoke, if you remember, overuse of a strength can also become a challenge, right? As we spoke in the case of Shama, right? Now, very often I tend to lean that way because that is the most comfortable way I want to do things. Is it an enabler, or is it actually a detractor? So when we went through that list, right, I was able to help him to see why he needs to concentrate on his lesser used strengths to make him more effective as an entrepreneur or a CEO. His biggest challenge was to say, but I don't know how to do this. He said, I hear you, I see your point, but I don't know how to do this because all my life I have done it this way. I said, yeah, it's true for all of us. Therefore, we have to sit back and say, okay, I have to learn to do something differently. I can because I have the strength. And that's why I keep telling you, reiterating to you, the strength finder is not telling you that you have weaknesses. It has strengths that you have but you don't use. Can you leverage them? Yes. Provided you invest in it. And provided you find the relevance of it. Yeah. Thank you so much. Perhaps I should start with this.
Actually, it's a good place to start, actually. Is it on now? Okay, I think it's a good place to start, actually, I would say, because this is a development process, as we all know, and we are all here. And once again, thanks for being patient and coming through these sessions, because we are still some way in terms of gaining real traction on the development process, for which I think the goal setting, the development plan to be ready is very, very critical. And I'll tell you why it's critical. It's critical for you because it gives you the pathway which Nandlal has been talking eloquently over the last several minutes. You need to have a development plan which you need to work on, and the reference points to that has already been shared with you in terms of how to go about it. What I would like to do is to quickly take stock going around. Where are you in terms of the process? Do you remember the document which was shared with you? To arrive at a development plan, what are the processes there? Which included goal setting, of course. But there were several other things like a TOR. If you don't have a TOR, if you have a TOR, coming up with the development area, 6 results. You remember?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Vis-a-vis that, I would like an update from each of you. Where are you on the development process? Where do you want to start? You want to put up your hand and start off? Or shall I go around? Let's start with Ashok. A for Ashok. Sorry? You want to start? Good. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Actually, I shared in the last DP session. So I done as per the instructions which are shared by Kalanna. So as per the instruction, I did everything.
Okay.
Even goal setting, TOR. So
Excellent.
everything I shared. Even present here also, somebody has given some inputs to improve the ADP plan. So I need to work out on this.
Excellent. Okay. So you are ahead. In fact,
Yes,
you've
sir.
reached the
Yes,
point where you know clearly what
Yes,
you are.
yes.
Now,
But I need some inputs to how I can.
Have you discussed with for example, you are reporting to Raghu, right?
Sir.
Have you discussed with Raghu, with your peers like Sanjeev?
I have discussed with my peer team, even field work, those who are working with closely. Now, I have discussed with them also.
Okay.
So I need to discuss with Raghu. sir.
That means the process is not complete in that sense.
sir.
Okay, that is what I'm reminding you. So I would suggest that you finish a discussion with Raghu
Okay, sir.
and finalize the development areas.
Okay, sir.
And at least by next fortnight, we should have those areas
Sure,
ready.
sir.
But thanks for moving this far. I think some of us are not reached as far as you have reached. Okay. Who would like to go next? To give
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have not started
Okay.
as yet. So, yeah.
Where are you in terms of starting?
No, nowhere.
Okay. Any difficulty, anything we can do to
No,
help you?
I've not been focusing on it. That's so,
Okay.
yeah.
It's also been a busy time.
It has been a busy time, but I think not prioritized. I think that's more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you like anything from my side, because you're reporting to me? Is there
Yes.
anything you would like me to do to help you?
No, I will prioritize and should come back next time
Okay.
with some progress.
Okay. I'm always available.
Yeah, sure.
Just in case, or Nandlal is available.
Yeah, sure.
Reach out to any of us. Raghu is
Yeah,
also
yeah.
available.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Still, I'm in the first step. I'm working on the strengths, the 32 strengths what we have. So I'm working on that.
Meaning you
In
have
the beginning. So
you haven't done the strengths finder. Is that what you're saying? Or
yes. So I'm started working on that.
But the basic
Still-
one you have done.
So yes, sir. Basic done, but 5.
5 you have done. So you want to do the 32 and then complete the rest of the process.
sir.
Okay. I would also invite all of you to be extremely honest. If you think that you're not going to be moving forward, do tell us. For whatever reason. I would like to hear those reasons also. Yeah? Sorry? I don't know whether you guys heard what I said. No. I said, if you don't want to move forward in this process, tell us with your reasons so that we understand where you're coming from. Yes, Harish. Before that, Shankar, can we have some deadlines for yourself? When do you plan to have a development program ready with you?
End of June, sir.
End of June? Okay.
Yeah, I got 5 strength finders, and I gone through it and I note down what are my strengths and other things that I have done. Apart from that, still my TOR is not put on the paper and it is keep changing, and also my reporting person is changing. So I haven't started with the goal settings. So once it has been clear, then I will start with the goal settings. So from there on, I will take. And I need another 30 days for this.
Okay. Just for all of your information, Harish will now be reporting to a new reporter called Saur, right?
Once you said Saur and another Shama, but it's not been clear.
Good, welcome. that is my strength, is it? Yeah, but I don't think there should be confusion on that. Let's clarify that fairly quickly. Let's have a chat with Shama and finalize that. And again, if you need any support in terms of TOR making and other things, happy to help you on that.
I haven't had all the sessions that everybody else had, but I've done the basic strength finder, and I had the time to go through what some of them mean in depth. But I move forward on that, and hopefully by the next session I can have a more concrete development plan in place.
But internally within CMS, you're clear about your role,
Yeah.
because I know you transitioned from COE to
No, that's
this thing.
all right.
Those things are clear for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And you are in the saddle firmly in terms of where you're going to go.
Yes.
Okay, good. Because that is required. Otherwise, it's difficult for you to do. So by next session, can I expect you to present your DP?
Yes, something basic at least, if not fully concretized.
No, basic.
I mean,
advanced is not there.
obviously there will be feedback from all of you that
Of
are
course,
experts.
of
Yes.
course. But that, don't forget, there are quite a few steps.
Right.
Including you have to have a sitting with your reporting officer, with your peers. You need to be clear. If you don't have a TOR, still you can have results that you can lay down for yourself.
Right.
So you're confident by the next DP you will be able to present a plan.
All right.
Good. Tanga.
I'm working on it by next,
Where are you? Working on?
I've completed the TOR, which I need to discuss with the reporting officer, and I've shared this thing with my peers, so they will review it and get back to me by next week. So by next 15 days, I will be able to present the entire.
Okay, again, you are a person in transition with wanting to be somewhere, but you are somewhere. How are you?
And
handling
also
that?
now my team, like what we had, there was like
Changes in
changes
the
in the team. So that is what, otherwise I was supposed to present this week. So I was not able to get all the data.
team. So what would be a reference point be, Tanga?
By next.
No, your reference point for your goals, would it be admin or will it be PMO?
So that I need to discuss also, sir. Both are ready, but because now, yesterday if you see, we have a position for PMO, and the team is also getting changed now. So if I just move on to another thing, I don't know what will happen to the existing
I think the basic discussion is important first.
Right, yes.
Yeah, it's in your hands actually.
Yeah.
You have to seek me out and to fix a time. I'm happy to provide the time.
Right. We
Yeah?
will discuss next week and again.
Because I'm getting messages from everybody else you want to talk to me. But
No, we had that discussion. Last we had this discussion, sir.
you know, there is a person called Shama who's not here. She hounds me.
No,
So,
we
have you
had
spoken to
this-
Tanga? Have you
no,
spoken
we
to
had
Tanga?
this discussion and we had this discussion
I know,
last year,
I know,
sir.
I know.
After that also several things changed.
No, but I think we should finalize things and get clarity for yourself so that you can plan it out. Can we do that next week?
Yeah, sure, sir. I'll.
And then when will your
By
DP
next fortnight, I'll be able to finish this paper. All other things are ready. Only these two things.
Okay, even by, I would say even by mid-June, if you can do it, that'll be great. Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. Raju?
Yeah, so from 5 to 34, I did this and also looked at the top 5 plus another 5. And also I looked at the bottom 5 because that is something, and then put it under those 4 influencing, executing, then strategic and relationships. I found all my 5 are 5 lowest ones are in relationship. And all the, and which is what I found, all the 5 are, those are in Siddhi's one, and a couple of those are with Nitin. And very interestingly, we just did the analysis with Siddhi and also with with the North team. We had started the North Vritti North leadership development. I attended the first meeting. We had taken them. So 13 leaders have been selected there, and they went through the initial process. They have not invested on the Strengths Finder, but basic concepts, and we started off with this. And coming to this thing, so I just read all this and then looked at the suggestions for each of those. If it is a learner, then what are the sessions, what you should be looking at. Then I went back to my goal, which was set on 2009 January. That's the time we had this goal setting, where I had looked at 2 key points. That one of the things I said was development thought leader and the enabler, and then looked at my role models. I'm quite happy to go back and say that this is something which I'm known for now, and basically maximizing people's potential. And very interestingly, my third strength was maximizer. So I'm just confirming a lot of my thoughts, and I'm very happy that I'm moving in the right direction. And my theme map is ready, and I should be getting all this. I need to talk to the Vritti team further and with Nitin. But otherwise, generally I'm happy the way I'm just moving on that.
Okay, great. And also if you can support others in terms of their development plans, that will be great.
Yeah, and I also have all this in Excel sheet.
If you say you have it, we assume it is in Excel. Yes.
So my TOR is finalized, and I gave the 16 PF while I was joining, so I have to get the results, and then I sit with my seniors and my peers and sort of map out my goals. So that's on the agenda as of now. I started thinking about areas which I would like to work on. So let's see.
Yeah, same here. So Nitin had shared a while back my TOR, but I have to still go back to him and discuss it with him. And also the 16 PF thing, I have to set time with Nandal sir, and then probably after that Strengths Finder have taken the basic 5 test. So
do you plan to do the full or stick to the basic 5?
As of now, I think I would stick to the 5.
Okay. So when do you think you will be able to present the plan?
I think by mid-June, in the first fortnight, I should have.
I was just looking at the plan. I'm almost 1.5 steps into it. The only input
1.5 steps or half?
Steps, 1.5 steps. The first one is looking at the basic inputs.
Right.
The only input I have as of now is the top 5 strength finder.
But I thought the 16 PF was there for you.
No, I haven't had a 16 PF done. Okay. So I have analyzed them as such. Okay.
No, because during your recruitment, I remember Nitin running 16 PF, right? It wouldn't be.
For all of us, it was run, but we didn't get the feedback.
I was
No, then the
at same time. No, I joined later.
Yeah, but for you guys, the files are there. If I'm not wrong.
We haven't got them.
That's okay. I mean, then you have a sitting with the HR. Manjula will have your data. Sorry. Go on.
Okay. So yes, I have looked at all my strengths in details. How, very similar to Shamma's, mine are very similar to hers, and more of an execution and exertion of that ones. So I'm trying to work on those, on how I can decrease the negative part of it. But I haven't been able to reach the
You
goal.
will build on the positives.
Yes, other way around, yes. And what else? I do not have a written TOR as of now. As per my discussion with Dr. Daniel during the probation and the appraisal, we're still thinking along those lines. So I'm yet to have a written TOR per se. And I'm still thinking on the goal because I'm not very clear of what do I want to achieve 3-5 years down the line.
Hopefully your lunch partners are not affecting you.
I don't have any lunch partners. I get that.
No, what's your roadmap for getting your development plan in place?
1.5 months. I mean, probably I can look at the end of June.
End of
at
June.
minimum. Yes.
Yep.
Because I would like to get other inputs during that period as well.
Okay. Now, I'm sorry guys, the reason I'm pushing for a specificity of date is that I would like to see a matrix here of all the development needs for each of us so that we can start looking at forming teams. If you remember, the development process is not going to be sitting around like this. It's going to mean that we are going to be breaking into smaller groups and working on areas that we want to work on. So for which, unless each of us have the areas inventoried out, it's going to be very difficult. As of now, you're seeing that probably only Narasimurthy has completed nearly all the processes. Yeah? That's the reason I'm suggesting. If you can speed it up by mid-June, that will be great.
Okay.
Because you got 20 days of this month and you got 15. So,
I'll try.
yeah, try.
Yes.
Dr. Daniel?
I think the way this different sessions were scheduled was last time 3 or 4 of us had volunteered to share the development plan, which we heard about it. We did give some sort of suggestions. And again, this week it was, there were 3-4 people who volunteered to share. And I was looking forward to that in order to be able to internalize and learn more from that. Of course, when Shama presented the initial one, including how to use the TOR as a basis and setting goals and, we have a process of setting up a development plan for individuals. So that process I have tried to apply to myself, and I had decided to volunteer for presenting this next meeting, because I have structured the way this development plan should be built around my TOR. Of course, there was no TOR, but I have tried to specifically do it on my own.
There is no TOR?
There was no written, specifically it was not there. And I have made it, and I wanted to discuss with Raghu in this week itself, and prepare myself for sharing that broad sort of plan of development. If it is in the group also, I don't mind, and then look forward to the individual or in small group discussion.
Okay.
But goals and all I have set up, which are very, of course, my personal goal was for about 10-15 years, it is all there. But then, of course, professional goal has been changing, related to the organizational assignment, etc. So that is one part of the goal. Second is again related to profession, but personal. Anyway, that is second part. But I would definitely like to, I'm looking forward to this individual sort of discussion.
Sure.
But I will share next time, next meeting,
thank you,
my plan of action.
Thank you. Dr. Daniel,
Right?
also there's personal goals getting kind of compromised vis-a-vis your professional goals. I think also look at that issue.
I would like to, because that is something which
because
is...
it doesn't have to be either or. So where can we...
earlier the better, if I could get some time from you or
Sure. Both of us are available to help.
Decide in the break. Please. That will be great.
Okay. Yeah. Great. So next time we can expect you to present.
Sure, I will.
Sure.
First of all, I apologize that I had not prioritized this. I had read the document, and also the basic strength finder has been done, and advanced I should work on that. And I was also referring my old psychometric tools which was used during my college days and even also during my other training programs.
But they are likely to change, huh? Just much.
Yeah, sure. And I think, and also recently there was a discussion that there might be slight change in our TOR, and also there might be slight change in the structure here and there. And based slight.
Slight is putting it mildly. Something is cooking.
And hopefully by June mid I'll be able to share the plan.
You'll be able to share the plan?
Yeah, I'll be.
Including all the steps. Don't forget there are quite a few steps.
Sure.
Narsamurthy already shared with you. There are many steps there.
Yeah.
Okay. So 15th we can, by the next one can we see it? Next?
Yeah, first level you can see it, but okay. I think we also sit with reporting person and all those.
Yeah, I think, but his point is also right. The structure, for the LSI team, the structure is changing. We had a retreat recently, and we have several options, and things are, for people like Ashok and Shankar also put together, I think there are many new options in terms of where you would like to move towards. So I think, that will be important to finalize first, so that becomes your reference point. Yeah. But there are certain side issues which are there. For example, your goal setting and other things get going on that. Yeah.
Sure.
So thanks, Siddhi.
Yeah. I'd like to just, of course, start with saying that this whole thing about me not wanting goals and all is very simplistic. It's something that I project, and it's something that when others say, I don't object either. There is a hell of a lot more into it if we dive deep into it. So, I just like to put that out. The second thing is that no, I don't try and influence anybody against having a goal. I do sometimes say that I don't, which is out there in the open, but I think that is also because over time, I have also learned to be open about myself to others. And that is also a development process that I've gone through. Right. So that's the second thing. Having said that, coming back to what I'm supposed to be talking about, that yes, I mean, if you look at the process, then I have all the 30, 34, 32, 34, 34, sorry. It's a number. So I have all of that completed. I have done that. I have been reflecting on the top 5. Also reflecting from the point of view is that where it's also stopped me from doing something, or where sometimes I just feel that, sometimes over the past 1 month since we've done this, when, my top is adaptability, and sometimes when things come my way, I'm supposed to be adaptable to it. So sometimes when I get frustrated, I say, no, this is my top strength. I can't get frustrated about it. So, to that extent, I think it is there in the mind all the time. I haven't moved ahead. I haven't, in fact, had a performance appraisal done, though I have been thinking through the whole appraisal process, but the actual sitting together has not happened. So yes, that's where I am. I also do feel that somewhere I tend to say that when somebody tells me this has to be done, I want to just prove that, well, I can live without having it to be done. And that's one place that I come from. The other place that I come from is to say that if you think I can't do it, I'll do it and shove it into your face. So, somewhere... I don't
think you can do the development plan.
No, I just want to be open about this. So I'm not saying that I cannot do a goal for myself. I have realized that somewhere the message, and in the way that we talk, in the way that we think, the message that comes to me all the time is about goal being a position. Okay, I know it's not, at the back of my mind, I know we've been saying that it's not that. But even today when we were talking about it, it is about becoming a CEO or being a director or, stuff like that. And that is what has always been my problem. So that's when I say, when you look at it, it's not that I may not have articulated it, I may not have written it down. But there are things that I have done. There are development that I have put and invested very heavily personally. To that extent, I think that yes, there is I see a huge scope of change. I was also talking to Loy in the morning, and I do believe that at this point, I am at a position where I need to also be, in a certain way, somebody who is able to reflect the organization's values and cultures, or at least what we want to reach. And I'm not there. I mean, there are certain things which are certainly there, but then there are other areas where that kind of improvement is needed. So there's a lot of thought that is going on. Yes, there is a procrastination, there is a fear of putting things down on paper, because Nandal, what we were saying in the morning, I think one of the things is that when you put it down on paper, it becomes real. When it's in your head, it's not necessarily so real. So yes, I do understand that being here and saying that I'm here, there is a responsibility, and I do think I'm responsible enough to say that yes, I will do it. But I'm not sure that it's going to be exactly reflective of what other things are. I don't know in terms of what my goal is, because I am looking more at a behavioral goal rather than a positional goal or stuff like that. So for me, it is a development of behavior, and that's where I am.
Siddhi, can I offer you something?
Sure.
I think let's not be fixated on the goal for a minute. Okay, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to have a development plan, which is identifying areas where you would like to invest in yourself as a professional.
Sure.
Plain and simple, right? And as you can see in the document which has been put out itself, there are multiple entry points for arriving at the results that you would like to achieve. Okay. Being a senior person, I would invite you to come up with that result that you would like to achieve and come up with the areas for development. As long as you are reaching there, I'm quite okay.
Sure.
Let's not be fixated on goal setting, and I don't think anybody wants to put any value on top of you. And you're absolutely right. The fact that you come here, sitting here, taking charge and being here shows your commitment that you want to move forward in your own way. And I would invite you to move it in your own way, what you're comfortable. Okay?
Sure.
Feel comfortable about the pace, feel comfortable about where you would like to reach.
Sure.
All I request, not just from Siddhi, from all of you, is that if you don't have the 3 development priorities right in front of you, referenced to something solid, reference to your professional development, you will agree with me, it's impossible to go forward. So how you reach there, we leave it to you.
Fair
Okay?
enough.
And whatever
And
help you need in that process, I'm available as usual. Please reach out if you would like to talk to me. And Nandlal, of course, is available. Raghu is there. Nitin is there. You know, we're all there.
I know you're all that. I'm quite sure of that. I just want to also just say that I'd like to get somewhere by the end of June, but there is a large part of June when I'm not around.
Right.
And I don't want to commit that I'll reflect during that time, but I do think that I'll have a lot of space to
So
do
shall we say by end of July, you will be ready with the
Certainly.
development plan?
Certainly.
Yeah?
Yes.
Thank you. Sanjay.
Hello everyone. Actually, I have taken up a 5 strength finder, top 5 strengths, and as of now, these 5 enough for me. I think, as I was thinking, and my accomplishments are where I am. The first, I have completed the case studies, the ownership of where ownership I saw, and the lack of ownership, and I shared, and also self-reflection format has been filled and shared with the team. In front of the team, that is very helpful for me to reflect myself within the team and the Narasimha Murthy and other 2 persons. And before the TOR, my TOR, I set a goal for myself with using a SMART principle. And again, I need to look it and I need to go back and refine the goal, what I set, that needs to be done. And another 15 days, I'll come up with my IDP plan. And last month 15th, I had a discussion with the Shanli ji, made an appraisal and a performance appraisal and given some feedback and what needs to be improved. And I put the areas need to be improved that I need to look. And in goal setting part in the IDP, keep it in the feedback thing. Actually, I am come up with some significant the plan.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sanjay. So when can we expect to see your plan?
Next 15.
Next session?
Session.
Okay. Sure?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Sir, anything from your side? Anything you want to add? Okay. All right, guys. So for the next session, what is the date we are having? For 23rd of May, right? 23rd of May, how many of us are going to be presenting our development plan? Can I see the hands up? Sanjay, Dr. Daniel, who else? Only 2. Okay. And what is the next one? June 13th. June 13th. June 13th, who are all presenting? Tanga, Ashok, Prachi, okay. And yourself? Okay. So there will be 4 in June 13th. And July, what, 27th? June 27th? Okay. Shankar, when are you presenting?
Not next. When we complete by
I've been talking about several dates.
June 30th.
June 30th?
No, 27th.
June 27th? Okay. Okay, can you all note down your own commitments so that you write it and follow it up on this? Again, guys, this is your plan. The reason I'm pushing for a specific date is that post-July, we cannot continue with lack of clarity on what are the areas we want to develop. We really appreciate your commitment to come here, participate, and I'm sure hopefully you're gaining certain things at a broader level, but we would like to dive deeper now. Okay? Meanwhile, I just have a question for all of you. Is there any very obvious areas that we can start off as a smaller group? Any development area that you see staring in front of us, which in any case has to be addressed and which we should immediately start off? Is there any such area? For example, ownership and loyalty is something which for some of us was really right up there. So we said, let's not wait, let's start off, right? So we started off. Is there anything else like that which you think can benefit a lot of us, but we have not put in time for that and you would like some of us to work on it?
stronger relationship building or who?
Not have, we have few.
We have fewer.
Relationship building, very few.
Influencing.
Yeah,
Not relationship.
influence.
Can we look at building that for everybody? Or some kind of discussion on that?
Sir, is that something, I'll slightly change your question. Is that something which is going to come in only if we add new members, or is that something which is at a skill level can be built up?
Skill level influence is
That's a good point, because that's a big area where, at least for the people who have done the Strength Finder, we were finding that that's not there in the top 5. Okay? Sorry?
Top strength is that.
So he'll do the training. No, I'm serious. I mean, for people who have good influencing strength, should be involved in that session. That's a cool.
who is not an influencer.
Naren is the only one who will do.
No, I think we should ask ourselves a larger question. Right? That is why I keep urging you guys to take the entire 34, because you might find the top 5 is not there, but we will have influencing somewhere. The question is not that we don't have influencing. The question is, why don't we use it? And to know whether you are using it and to what extent you are using it, if you take the full 34, you will find out where the cluster of influencing is. Like if Raghu is saying that, look, it's coming in my bottom 5, right? Then the real challenge is that he needs to examine how he is going to take one of those. And how would you do it? For example, if maximizer or strategy, right, is there on top, then you apply that and you say, how can I succeed? Right? Strategy. This is strategy. I need to learn how to influence. So can I? Yes, I have the ability. Do I use it? Not adequately. How can I learn to use it? Then that becomes a development. So that's why the top 5 in its own way has got its significance. I'm not saying no. But is it available to you? If it is available in the top 10 or top 15, it becomes that much more easier to use it. So that's why I always urge take the entire 34, because then we can know, is it top 10, top 12, then we can easily enough start putting together processes, modules, learning frameworks for us to start learning to use it. And as you use behaviors that are latent, with time, right, those behaviors will start becoming more and more
Expressed. But would it still make sense to do a session on that while we get our DPs in place? And who are all top in influencing other than Sukrit? Can you look at the data also? Sukrit, do you remember?
Nitin, who's got top 4 in.
My vision is that by end of July, we do have a matrix with all the 3 for each of us mentioned, so that we can do the clustering and then form the teams which can start off. Yeah. So till then, is there anything other obvious ones? I found that for some of us, English communication, particularly written at a higher level, was something which is likely to come up. Is that something we can form a cluster and start off? Yasumutri, Sanjeev, Shankar, Harish, Ashok, because you're all now moving into the next level of this thing. There could be others also. I was planning to request Loy whether he can take leadership on that. And we could also take Mr. Nanlal's help if there is any specific English coach who is there. But if you can... Communication English, summarization, precis writing, capturing minutes, essential skills which probably will help this team to, express themselves better in written English language. And unspoken, yeah, sure, both. As a coordinator, we can hire local people with Nallal sir help who can do, for example, building vocabulary, building, precis writing skills. That person can work on it, but I need our internal coordinator who will take charge of it. I'm turning to you, but if there's anybody else who would like to volunteer, please do that. Because most of them are your team. And also plus I thought Narsamurthy and Sanjeev would also gain from that. Yeah. Tanga, would you also like to join that group? It's on written English. Okay. Anybody else would like to join that group? You can always contact Loy later on. I think we'll need to put out a circular because people who are not attended this session should be. Anyway, we'll send out minutes on this. Yeah. Okay.
I would be happy to help in that, but I don't think I can teach. So I'm
Sure. Why don't you help him design it and other things?
looking at what you get back, giving feedback, sitting one-on-one with people. And
Plus, what they've written may require some amount of feedback. I think that'll be great
that
if you
kind
can.
of stuff.
Okay. So, can I pair both of you so that you can start off a parallel process, hire a trainer in Bangalore who can work with all of them and start off the process. I'll also be happy to help you in terms of what I have learned in terms of how to do this. Yeah. Okay. Is there any other obvious areas we can get some traction going? Raghu, I was looking at M&D, the whole area of theories and practices around M&D and our tools. People like Prachi, Daniel and all have not gone through a formal one. And I have 6 meal coordinators, 6 right in Pragati? Yeah, 5 meal coordinators in Pragati who are there. And we will now be recruiting cluster meal coordinators. So, I mean, that will be quite a lot. That's something Prachi and Daniel can probably, with Kalan help do, provided they get the skills in terms of knowing theories and practices of M&D for within the Catalyst group. Is that something you and Sandeep can lead on? Largely Sandeep, but if you can guide him in terms of doing that. Yeah. So we got 5 M&D people from Pragati. We may have Sankalp also will be having a M&D role. Prachi, of course, is there. Daniel is there, and probably the other 5 Avahan people also. Yeah. So that could be another cluster which we can parallelly start off, so that we can begin to work on it. Luckily, there is overlap is slightly small. So if you have the English and the M&D thing going, it will be quite tough. Raghu, can you drive that? Yeah. With Sandeep on the lead? Okay, and I'm trying to get some traction so that we start seeing benefits for ourselves in terms of what we want to do. Any other obvious areas that we want to do? Raghu? No? Shall we get this thing going? Influencing, Nandlalji will in the next session kickstart the process. I think it's a good point. Thanks, Prachi. I think it's a very obvious one. English, written and spoken English, Loy along with Siddhi will start a process where the volunteers who would like to join that are there. And M&D, Raghu and Sandeep. Yeah? Okay, great. So that starts off our LDP process into the next level. Now, while we go on, I just want to provide you an update on both what's happening in the north as well as in Delhi. Raghu, do you want to give us an update on what you're doing with the Vritti team on the development process?
Yeah, we've been talking about for the past. We've been talking about for the past 1 year on the leaders because we started this each of these models. We are now in 12 districts across 2 states, and then at each and we reached close to about 50,000 odd farmers there. And each unit is a SBU. So the idea is that unless those champions, we call them livelihood transformation hubs, and champions for each of those, they don't take their own decisions and they're able to sort of take their teams, and each of them have a couple of producer organizations where there are CEOs where they have to be supporting. So the whole idea is that how can we develop leaders, and there is a lot of churn in the last 1 year once these roles were put in and expectations were put in. And now we have identified 13 of them, of which about 7 at level 1 and another 6 at level 2. And those people have already taken this position of champions at livelihood transformation. So we started off with the first meeting of them coming together, and then looking at things like what are the expectations, what are the areas where they have strengths. So I talked about the strengths finder, but we are not getting into this complete thing of, see, one of the things we require is what, unlike PI here, we don't, I'm not sure whether we have it in the local language and all that, because PI was there available with almost like 160 odd language and all that. But here it's going to be very difficult because there also entire session was on mostly in Hindi, and we had a couple of sessions on English. So that is something which I wanted to check it out. I told them also we'll get back on that. That is, I think, is important. Second is we also need a mentor there. So we talked about our
Parivartan, right?
no, this Pune.
Shirish.
Sirish, but he was saying that it'll be difficult. I think couple of sessions by you, but then at the field, what is required. And they also demanded I should be coming in once in a quarter and all that, because I said fine, like we'll combine it with the program and all that. So that is taken, and each of them have put in, after that second day evening, each of them have put in the goal for themselves. So the whole idea is three things we took it. One is for what is that each of you want to achieve, what is that Vritti should achieve, what is that we need to be achieving for the communities. This is a triangle, and Dhruv was one of those guys who was taken a lot of initiatives and then working with Pramil to get this. So people started, each of them has started different points. There are people who started saying that this is what we want to achieve in the community, and for which Vritti is a platform in which I want to be delivering, but I have plans beyond Vritti. So things like this. So each of them have come out with this, and at least about 6 of them, their plans are related to them becoming social entrepreneurs. The first business plan has come for 20 lakh, that is very unexpectedly from Chhattisgarh, right? And both the CEOs there are women, and it is headed by Satish Mishra, who is ex-Basics, but very interesting. So we have already set the business plan. We are getting the first loan from FWWB, but this is going to be taken as a loan, and they're going to deliver it as a business. And it is taken, and the key thing we said that if we are not able to achieve it, we'll pay it from our pocket. Right? I think something which, because that is what is required in each of the SBUs. We started, and then this is going to continue every month, and then we're going to once in a quarter, I'll be attending, and we'll also require support from you and also from Sirish, because he can bring in another kind of thing. So this is a plan right now on this.
Great.
So going on. We need tools now, right now. I think that is again, if it is something in Hindi, it will be very useful there for that. We're ready to start in South. Things have sort of, it's like.
But the team is in South is much smaller than.
No, it is. No, it's pretty big, but it's like it's come from a consulting kind of a background. So there's always this thing about field implementation to consulting, and we're just working with them on the business plan and what is to be taken like these hubs. So we have now clearly the hubs in North, but South we are discussing. That is going to take some more time. I've been in discussion with Bala on this.
Okay.
Here tool is not a problem, but the model itself is unclear. So that's a work which we have started off with this.
Okay.
Going, and these were very useful. These the goal setting, this strength finder, and this whole appreciating diversity was something which they all found it very, because this whole strengths and each of them bring in different strengths, and the whole strength is that the other person is not like you. That was a very important message which came in, and people said that if they have to make the business succeed, then you require different kinds of skills coming in, and how to leverage those. You can't become expert in all. So that's something which came out very well. Very excited. We can have a WhatsApp group with the North Leaders group, and they included Bala also in it, and that is very dynamic there. So it's extremely dynamic there. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm hoping Reich also will take off like that.
Sorry?
I hope Reich also will take off like the WhatsApp which is connected.
Yeah. That is again the strength of the leader.
Because they said there is no data available. We are in very rural areas, so WhatsApp is working. So I'm very hopeful that. Okay.
Data there is available quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now
No, but this is really good. I think the trajectory required for North, we have always struggled in terms of the Vritti team there. Just wanted to share with you, any questions for Raghu before we move on? Let's just keep it there if there's any comments. No? Okay. Delhi, me and Shama were there last week, and then we had a session with the Delhi team. And if you recall, I had done the first session which we did here parallelly there on Strength Finder. And beyond that, we have not been providing any further sessions with Delhi team. And Delhi team this time, like we have done here, we have thrown it open. So we had a lot more participants. I think we had Puneet, Urvashi was there in the first session also. Then Faiz, that girl, what is that? Saloni, Premvada was not there. Shauli was there, and Shama and me were there. So we shared with them what's happened till now and also the expectations. We took them through all the documents, all the processes which have happened till now. Unfortunately, we could not share the videos with them because of the technology. There was some glitch. That has now reached them. So they've all got the videos, and they have fixed next Wednesday where they're all going to meet. And Shama and most probably Nandlal are going to get on a call from here. They're going to watch all the videos, the interactions we have, for example, what is getting taped here. They watch it, and then they are only getting back to us if they have any questions. Otherwise, they are planning to develop their own development plan and other things. So they have estimated that it will take them at least a month to catch up with us in terms of time, which is fine. I think that is also okay, because if you remember, we also repeated some of the things, like Strengths Finder we repeated twice. We had two sessions, so they'll be able to catch up quite quickly. Overall, there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of questions, lots of, my God, I think Shama and me spent 3 hours answering questions, and very good questions in terms of development process, where will it go, what will happen, how will they participate, can they contribute in terms of, what are the areas that they can come in, all of that. So, yeah, so we plan to keep that going. And between me and Shama, because we have to go to Delhi quite often, we have decided we'll continue. But any of you traveling, take the opportunity to interact with team members there, whether you go to Bhopal or to Delhi, and keep the dialogue and conversation going on the development process. Yeah. Okay. So can we all keep a kind of a deadline that by end of July we will have nobody within us who we have not helped to have a plan? Which means watching out for your colleagues also. Not just preparing your plan. So if people are reporting to you, help them to do their plan. If you have peers who are not able to reach their plan, help them do their development plan so they have something specific ready with them. Can we agree to it? If you have a disagreement, tell me. By end July, there will be nobody in this room or outside in the development process who will not have a plan. Yeah? Okay? All right, great. So to the next session, Siddhi, which is on the ownership and loyalty, right?
Yes.
All right. So I did see your early morning or late night email. The last session I was not there. I want to take you back to that ownership and loyalty session, just to jog your memory. How did we do the session to begin with? What happened in the ownership loyalty? Do you remember?
Some case studies.
Okay. There was sharing of case studies by Siddhi, right? Yeah. Okay. Then what happened? I'm not talking about the last session. I'm talking about from the beginning, recap to me. Because we are now changing subject. We are moving to something specific like ownership and loyalty. What had happened? Okay. We saw Raghu's framework. Then?
Two case studies. After
there were 2 sets of case studies. One was a homework. But did we look at some case studies in that same day when Raghu presented? How many case studies did we look at? 2 or 3? We are not sure. 2 or 3 case studies. Okay. So we looked at it, and then what did we do?
We discussed what ownership means.
Correct. What is ownership? What is loyalty? We discussed that. Then what happened? Enablers, barriers, yes. And we also gave feedback on the framework. What else happened? Yes. We got a homework for doing what all, Tanga? Comments on the framework. Then?
Case studies on one positive thing.
One positive and one not so positive. Right? In fact, if I remember from my notes, 2 positive and 2 not so positive.
And
I just checked my slides, so that's why I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, briefing was 1. Okay, fair enough. Yes, Sanjay.
And second, which is the negative and lack of ownership. Why lack of
Correct.
the
So what one?
on that we discussed.
Okay. So you did the exercise, you came back, and then you had a discussion last time on what you saw, right? How many case studies were, I think Siddhi had summarized how many? I think who all had submitted, Siddhi?
By that time, put online, because there were some who had written it, but were not able to upload it. We had Geeta, Martin, Rajendra.
Sorry,
Kalan.
sorry. Who?
Geeta, Martin, Rajendra, Kalan, Dr. Daniel, Neha, Prachi, Rishabh, Shama, Tanga, and myself.
Oh, wow.
That's 11.
Okay, so 11 people had done case studies. So I'm assuming at least 11 case studies were there.
Yes.
Or probably more.
So, 22. At that time? Yeah. By last time. Sorry, Vasundhara was there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
You're right. Because that time I thought the box.
So Sanjeev also says he had put up his case study.
You can't able to upload in the Google Drive. Yesterday we sent.
Yeah, so they've sent. So, Murthy has sent.
Fine.
Sanjeev, I don't think you put your name there because there was one without a name. Ashok's was there. Okay, then you all have put it in some different place because I couldn't find it in the homework folder or it wasn't synced.
Okay, fair enough. Can I see hands who could not do the case study? Anybody could not do it? Only 2 of you could not do it. Okay. All right. So, all of these you have analyzed last time and shared, or some of them came in new?
The 3 that I've seen yesterday, probably Sanjeev, Murthy and Ashok, those were new.
But other than that?
Other than that, I went through all and I analyzed it and we had discussions and I also shared the analysis. We had discussions around that also the last time. I think we must have spent 2.5 hours, the first part of last time on this.
On the ownership and loyalty bit.
On ownership.
Okay. There is one thing we have missed out in the last one, and which is a briefing to you on what you should have done between last session and now. Right? And which was there in my original briefing, and I think that got left out. See, the whole session is organized into 4 parts. Beginning part was a framework and a startup case study which Siddhi presented. After which you had to go back and observe people practicing ownership or not practicing ownership and come back with case studies, which you guys have done. That is the second step. The third step is actually, which we didn't do last time, but we will do it from this fortnight to the next, which is for you to look at yourself in terms of practicing of ownership. Okay? Yourself. Now you're not going to be looking at somebody else. I think we had a little difficulty whether there is not much of ownership around, or are we able to see only the negative examples, if I'm not wrong, from the last time that you had discussion. Okay? Now that is about others. Now let's focus on ourselves. Can you observe yourself from now till the next session and do a case study on yourself where you have expressed your ownership and loyalty and where you have not? Okay? Put yourself under the scanner and do a case study. And we will look at that next time. Similarly, there will be a homework directory. Under that you put it. Siddhi will create another one called self-analysis within the homework. Can you please put it under that? Is it clear, the task? Analyze yourself for ownership. And there could be some doubts you may have. Should I analyze only the 15 days that I am practicing the ownership? Or can I look backwards, any part of my career in CMS, can I do that? It's up to you. Okay. The idea is that we would like you to self-reflect on your ownership and loyalty. You looked at somebody else, can you look at yourself? Okay. We will do that next session. After that, the 4th one will be that you will be practicing this or teaching what we have done till now to your team. Some of you may not have many reportees to you, doesn't matter. We will provide you a bunch of people who you can work with, but you will do this with somebody else. For example, Prachi, in your case, you will have to take the M&D people from the states and do that exercise, right? Maybe you and Dr. Daniel can do that together. So the 4th week exercise will be about teaching somebody else about ownership and loyalty. And then we will come back, we will relook at the Raghu's Excel format, the framework, and see what we want to change. Okay? And in fact, together all of us will finalize the package for ownership and loyalty, which will then become part of the induction pack. That is our idea. So this is also about you reflecting, learning. So the pathway is like this. You saw the framework case study, you did an exercise looking at somebody else on ownership loyalty. You will go this week and look at yourself, and then the fortnight after that you will teach somebody else, and then we will come back and close the loop in terms of changing the material itself. Clear? Okay, Loy and Shankar, This part of the exercise you will be able to do?
Sir, we need to make a document on this.
Yes, similar to the earlier one. But this time it is yourself. You're not looking at somebody else. How have you expressed your ownership? And again, it can be positive or negative. If you don't find any negative, that is fine. But if you find any positives about your ownership, please put that. Okay. Now, I'll give you a classic example. I mean, we had a QRM yesterday, and I found that the Swasti team had not given me the presentation to be made at all. Right? Neither Loy, nor Angela, nor Shama did anything. Normally, they are the ones who put together the Swasti QRM. So I waited up to a point, and I didn't want to let Swasti down. So I prepared it and shared it with all of them. And Shama's answer was classic. She said, while I told you I'm not attending the QRM, I have not taken responsibility to ensure my tasks are complete on that. My apologies, this will not, I'll ensure that that doesn't happen again. Right? That is her taking ownership that, yes, this should have been done by me, or at least part of it should have been done by me, and I have not done it. Right? That's an excellent way to reflect that this is something we should have done. Right? So, similarly, if you have anything that you have observed, positively or otherwise, share it with us. Okay? Again, there's no brownie points on if you say, I have 15 case studies on how my ownership is expressed. No. It's about for you to reflect on yourself. Okay? If you have any struggles in that also you put it out. Like, in terms of the definitions, I know we've had long discussions on it. Yeah? Particularly relating to one case. Which, by the way, yeah. Are we clear? Good. Siddhi, anything else?
No.
Okay.
Just to, I guess, share that, I have been looking back at the framework, the points on framework. And it's going to take a bit of effort because it's pretty varied, and then there are a lot of things to think about. There is one point which has come from 2-3 people about the framework needing to be self-explanatory. I don't know. I mean, I guess when you're working on it yourself, you think it's self-explanatory, but clearly that's not what others are getting. And for some, also to have certain background documents with the framework and all that. So I guess
Sure.
over this whole period of the next 2-3 sessions when we're working on this, we should be able to reach there.
No, I think that's a task the three of us need to do.
Right.
That is, take that feedback and then improve the framework and add notes, Raghu, to it. Because, for example, if Daniel and Prachi are going to do this, you'll be doing it next month with the M&D team. So you need to have all the materials and everything solidly there. That's the whole idea. Yeah. Good. So we, as usual, end the session. Sir, anything from your side?
No, I'm just reflecting on this. This is a very difficult task you're asking, because if you look at ownership, even when we started this session, you prepared your own development plan. Nobody has. Right? So ownership is actually going to be a difficult task in terms of saying this is mine, and it affects me. That therefore I will take ownership for it. And that is very important, because if you don't take ownership for something for yourself, and you won't, there's no such concept in an organization called ownership. Right? In an organization, ownership is always with the people who own the organization. That is empirically, and if I recall, Raghu said that he did a lot of research and couldn't really find something, Now, how do you take ownership in an organizational context? Right? And that I think is a much more difficult task than answering how do you take ownership for yourself. Which, if you recall our conversation this morning amongst all the people who are supposed to set this goal setting exercise and all the rest of it, right? Yes, it was offered to you as an opportunity. Did you take ownership to set your goals? No, you didn't. Therefore, I think this reflection is important as to what prevents you from taking ownership of yourself. Forget organization. And if you take ownership for yourself, you will find that it is easier to take ownership of organization. Because the distinction is, in my experience, organization, we come to work. We take ownership for what we are supposed to deliver. Why? Because there is a reward and penalty, paradigm there. If I don't do it, I'm penalized. If I do it, I'm rewarded. So I take ownership for that outcome. But do I take ownership beyond that, beyond the task? I think that reflection is a very huge reflection. And I don't think you will find an answer. I would submit that you might want to start asking yourself why you find it difficult to take ownership of your own needs. That would be an interesting thing. And if you felt the need, then and you wanted to take ownership, then I guess you would have been finding it relatively easier to start working on your own individual goals. And that's something I think you may want to begin there, because the organizational context is much larger. And if you can begin at home with yourself, then it's possible to extend that lot. Makes it that much more easier. Because in an organization there will be competitiveness. You can't prevent it. Right? Why should I take ownership for something else? Because I am not going to get anything in return. Right? So I will take ownership for myself as far as the task outcomes are concerned. There will be, aspirations. I would not want to hand over my success to somebody else, because in that case, then I will be compromised. So will you take ownership for, which is one of the reasons why development as a process, when we talk of subordinate development, investing in helping others to grow, why we find that difficult is also because, we are then asking that question at a very selfish level, what's in it for me? If somebody else is groomed and is getting better, right, that's my ownership, isn't it? That all of us who are leaders here, we have people to lead, and therefore we must have ownership to their development. Why is it so difficult? It's largely because we are apprehensive that in developing them, we may make ourselves redundant. And therefore we have, the third element is, we have expectations at an organization level that the organization will invest in our development. Why should the organization take ownership for your development? It will, because it is selfish enough, because it wants its own outcomes. That's as simple as that, right? So I think you need to work on this a bit more. Right? So experiences, empirical evidence and support is certainly going to help. I think we have to delve deeper into this subject.
Thank you, sir. No, I agree. I think this is something you guys need to carry with yourself, and deeply reflect, because to tell you honestly, I think I would say that if you do want to move forward in the LDP process, it needs commitment, and I think by coming here, I'm seeing that you are committed to it. But it's not about doing this session, right? It's about you having a clarity in terms of where you would like to go. So please work on it, and let's meet again on 23rd of May, right? 23rd of May, same place, same time. And remember that those of you who said you're going to complete your DP process, complete it, get it here with in a form of a presentation. That will be great. And those of you who have set time deadlines a little bit more comfortably, that doesn't mean we relax, because there's a lot of work involved in the steps, as Narasimhamurthy will tell you. There are several processes and hoops which are set up in a way that you can have a complete plan which you don't have to keep revising. So do that, start the process towards that, and also complete this exercise on ownership. I hear what Nandlal is saying in terms of the larger issue, so we'll reflect on that too. Yeah. So we meet again on 23rd. But before we break, any feedback that you would like to offer on the development process overall? Because this is something we are taking every time, and we don't intend circulating a link or something like that. If good opportunity to speak up and shape up the development process. No feedback?
Which itself is an ownership.
No, I'm talking about the feedback of the development process.
The scope of this whole process is becoming more and more clear. I think today's discussion and today's, the way it has been now look forward is something which is giving a little more insight into how it is going to shape up individuals with service organization as well. That is coming up more clearly, I thought.
Yep.
So, as you know that, every time we are traveling 100 kilometers from Bagepalli to here. So, when first two sessions, what I feel, so is it required to travel this kilometers? Simply, so they are teaching, we are listening. So, is it required? So instead of the coming here, can we do our regular work like that? That is my feeling in the first two sessions. Later on that I realized that so organization is taking care of us like our parents to enhance our knowledge and our improvements. So now I feel very comfortable. So and it is very much essential to me personally. So even I want to share that. So I want to be here some more year, like another 5-6 years, or so if it is possible more. So it is my honest open to
Thank
share
you.
with this.
Thank you. No, it's very honest of you to also say first two sessions you felt like that, which is good. I mean, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Thanks, Nasamata.
When I came first session, actually I was very nervous. What is the LDP? And the before the night I confirmed my participation.
We were also nervous.
Because yeah, and again the next session also I didn't understand anything, but we sat ideally and listening only. The today actually I'd like to say the more and more clear, and we are getting clear picture what needs to be done, what needs to be the further go.
Sure.
That is very useful, and today's session, and it's very clear. And asking all of them the where you are and where you need to move. That is the very good process was gone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sanjeev.
Even Sanjeev and myself not confirmed till around 8 o'clock. That day Shama madam called, Murthy, why you are not confirming like that? Madam, we don't know about it, anything, and almost organization level leaders are coming. So we are coming from the field team. So I think it is just for information, you are sharing like that. So we are not confirming, no Murthy. So we want to add you also. So kindly confirm the session like that, madam says that. Then only I confirm.
There you go.
So it is a good opportunity.
Each of us are very important here, not so much. All the ladies are quiet. Okay, good. Thank you. I think if there's no other comments, let's break now.